Welcome. We're going to do a video here on 133 and 134. Let's take a look. 133 is really annoying. I don't really like the wording of these two questions, but we're just going to play along, right? So taking a look at the question, sorry to make you dizzy here. Taking a look at this question, I'm saying to myself, A and B are the two that I'm narrowing it down to. I'm going to eliminate C, D, and E here and then get to the meat of this question. So it says for each personality type, more than half had neutral. Well, 43 had neutral. And 43 out of 100 is not more than half. So C's out. Next, let's stick with this more than half. More than half had type A and positive. So type A and positive was 25. And 25 out of 100 is not more than half, correct? 25 out of 100 is a quarter, and that is not more than half. So that's out. D, the proportion that had a positive attitude towards small cars. So the proportion that had a positive attitude toward small cars. Is higher among people with type B than type A. Well, right off the bat, type A has more people saying positive, and comparing the two, definitely type A is more positive, but they said the word proportion, and that's the key here, because it doesn't really matter the raw amount or the raw number here compared to this number. It really has to do with relative to type A or type B, because notice we've surveyed more positive type A people than type B people. So we need to do some calculations here. So if I end up taking, and those are called conditional probabilities, if I take 25 out of 60, I get 42%. So 42% is the proportion of type A that said positive. And if I do the same thing here, I take 12 divided by 40, then I notice that's 30%. So the proportion of type A, 42 is greater than 30. So the proportion that had positive attitudes is higher among A, is higher among type A than with type B. So I have to cross that out. Now let's look at A. It goes back to this idea of proportion. That's our key word here. So let's take a deeper look. Of the three attitude types, the group with the negative attitude has the highest proportion of type A. So when I look at that, the group with the negative, I've highlighted that. When I look at the proportion, 40%, or the proportion 24 over 60, are type A. And 47% of the type B people said negative. So the highest proportion, when I compare 0.4 to 0.7, is B. And that's, now I'm down to B. I've basically eliminated everything. Now let's take a look at B. Of the group with neutral. So now looking at neutral and only looking at neutral, I'm going to compare those proportions. So let's do that. 11 out of 60 is 18%. And 9 out of 40 is 23%. Notice a higher proportion liked of the B than the A when I compare them. So I must go with B. All right. Next question. This one I really like, but I am not surprised if people missed it because it doesn't totally come out and explain it very well in the story. So it says, a delivery service places a package in a large container before flying them. These containers vary greatly with their weight. Suppose the delivery services airplanes always transport 2 such containers on the flight. The 2 containers are chosen so their combined weight is close to but does not exceed a specific weight. So that would be a limit. So there's going to be a cap to the limit. And we know that we understand basic variability. So in real life, even if there's a weight limit, they likely won't have exactly the right amount or the exactly max out every time. A random sample of flights with these containers is taken and the weight of each of the 2 containers is selected. The weights of the 2 containers on the same flight would have what type of correlation? So automatically, you've got 2 containers, or I'm just going to call them boxes, and you know from this correlation you have 2 quantitative variables. So you're looking at 2 quantitative variables. So let's imagine some pretend numbers and quantify it. So thinking about if you do go on an airplane, a lot of people take 2 bags. So that would look like this. You could maybe take a light bag, like a carry-on bag, and then a heavier bag. And let's say we put the weight limit at 50. So we know that the 2 are going to add up to a number that doesn't exceed 50. It could be just something a little bit less than that. But let's just say we maxed it out. We were able to max it out. So that would be my low bag, then my next bag could be up to 40 because my weight limit is 50. Notice each time my weight limit stays the same. My 2 bags could totally vary, ranging from heavy to light. But notice there is an inverse relationship here. As one gets lighter, now this other bag can be heavier. So I went ahead and made a graph. When I have a very light bag, like 10 for my first box, then that would allow me to have a much heavier box for my second one. And again, I'm just graphing these 2 numbers. When my first box is 20, my next box can be 30. When my first box is 30, then my next box has to be 20. Notice this is definitely a negative correlation. Thanks for joining us.